Most of us aren't happy to get that sort of news. But I suppose we ought to be. You probably agree with me with that I hope. Well, that's a challenge, isn't it? But there's a more important question. The greater question is, if we turn around, I say this is, maybe I shouldn't say it's a greater question, but let's turn around because this is perhaps even more challenging. How do you react? How do you respond? What do you do? Let's suppose that you observe sin in someone else's life. Now you observe sin in someone else's life. How should you respond? What should you do? What should you say? What does the Bible tell us? What's supposed to happen? That's a real challenge. Because certainly we're a lot better at spotting the sin in other folks' life than we are at, spotting the sin in our own. But we're a lot worse, in my view, at handling that in the right way. Now, Jesus does give us some advice elsewhere. And it's not really here in the Gospel of John. I'd like to remind you of what Jesus says in Matthew chapter 18. How do you handle it when you observe sin in another person? Now, most of the time, I'd say typically we respond like immature youth. Now, here's how it works with young people. And if I go to, I hate to use this example too often, but it's my life. I'm a teacher. So I have a classroom of 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, and typically if one of them spots somebody else doing something wrong, they may overlook it, but if they decide, I can't overlook this, the first thing they do is they say, hey, Mr. Benson, he over there doing something bad. Now, they're not doing it because they care about Billy Bob throwing the spit wad or Billy Bob. They don't really care about Billy Bob. They care about equity, fairness, justice. They want to make sure that he doesn't get a privilege that I don't also get. Their response is, he's talking over there. It's not necessarily that they want him to shut up. It's that I want to talk too. So it's kind of an immature response. Now, Jesus tells us in Matthew 18 that there's a way we ought to be responding when we spot somebody else doing something we shouldn't do. And it's not an immature response. He's calling us to put away childish ways and act like mature folks. And to put away the motive that we have of, he's getting away with something, and He calls us to think about what's good for them. Let me ask you a question. We'll get back to this in a moment. Let me digress. The Bible makes it quite clear that God hates sin. Why does God hate sin? Is it because God is a great killjoy? Is it because God hates to see people laugh? He doesn't want them to be jolly. No. God hates sin because of the pain it brings. He hates sin because of the destruction that follows. The Bible also tells us, makes it clear that God grieves when we sin. And I like that response. I like that. That's something I think is useful for us. God grieves when He sees us sin. Why does He grieve? Why does it make Him sad and make Him grieve when He sees sin? It's because He knows, He perceives that bad, painful, harmful things are going to follow. It's not that He wants to be a killjoy, because He hates to see the suffering and the sorrow and the agony that sin brings. Now, do we grieve when we see sin? Because that emotion is indicative of something different than the childish emotion of that youngster in the classroom. If we really grieve when we see sin, that means that we are saying, oh, wow, I see where this is going to go. I see the reality that this sin is going to lead to harm, pain, sorrow, and suffering. And I don't want to see them suffer and sorrow. I don't want to see them go into that pain. I would like to stop that. I would like to help them avoid that suffering and that sorrow and that pain. So you see, it shifts us into a different motive. God's really not wanting us to eagerly look out for sin so that we can be this person that says, oh, he's misbehaving, and man, we got to get this all settled out. God calls us to grieve over sin, and if that is our motive, then we're going to have an entirely different response when we apply the truth of Matthew 18. Now, in Matthew 18, verses 15 through 17, you may recognize these words. I'm not even going to read it because time is going quickly, but you mark that in your Bible if you haven't got it already. Matthew 18, 15 through 17. Now, if there's some sort of sin that you spot, then you've got three things that can happen and should happen. Number one, you should go to that person. You say, brother, let me share something with you. Number two, if they don't listen to you, then you say, okay, well, I'll come back again, and this time you bring someone else with you. And you have a second person, so you can encourage that person to attend to that sin, so that they can avoid the pain and the suffering and the sorrow. And finally, if they still don't listen, well, then you may have to bring it to the leadership of the church. But you see, until that first step is taken, the second step shouldn't be taken, nor should the third step taken. So often, we're more like that student says, teacher, he's doing something over there. And that's what we often do in a congregation, in a church body. We observe sin, and the first thing we do is we pick up the phone and say, Pastor David, did you know so-and-so is up to no good? Somebody needs to do something about it. And obviously you. But we have just jumped from step 1 to step 3. Now, why don't more of us go through step 1? Because step 1 isn't necessarily all that pleasant. It's not all that easy. It's a lot easier to tell everybody else about it, or pick up the phone, or to knock on Pastor David's door. And that might be appropriate if you have moved into step 1. But you see, step 1 is so important because step 1 forces you to do a little examining of the reason that you're doing this. It forces you to say, look, I'm going to have to communicate with this person face to face. I'm not going to blast off a nasty text to them. I'm going to go to them face to face, eyeball to eyeball, and we're going to sit down. And I'm